Black Mask. Put a bounty on my head. Where is he?
I bloody love Batman Arkham Origins.
After releasing Arkham City, Rocksteady, the studio behind the first two Batman Arkham games, needed a bit of extra time to make their final game than Warner Brothers would have otherwise have liked. And so they decided to give the Arkham license to one of their in-house studios to make a prequel to make a bit of extra cash. I mean, tide the fans over until Rocksteady's new game came out. The resulting product was an excellent marriage of Rocksteady's tight controls and design philosophies, and WB's ability to tell a massively compelling story with passion for the Batman world and characters. While not changing much mechanically speaking, they have managed to up the quality of life and the emotional impact that these games can have on the player. For anyone who is unfamiliar with the franchise, Rocksteady's Batman games are very good at making you feel like Batman. And while I do love the power fantasy, it does kind of kill the tension in your story when your protagonist is capable of defeating several supervillains, countless thugs, and a literal army that has placed the city under occupation. While high, while stopping to do over 240 fun little puzzle things, all in a single night. My main point here is that where Rocksteady tries to make you feel like Batman, WB's main thesis for a Batman game is to make you feel like Batman. And I love this game for that. I love it for basically being an Arkham City mod with a killer story about Batman in his early career, when he's still building his myth and honing his skills. And as far as I can tell, so does everybody else. Seriously, how many times do you need to call a thing underrated before it's just rated? So before I start rambling, let me show you exactly why I love Batman Arkham Origins.
Then what? You want me to give up? Leave? Let them have the city?
In over your head, and I don't want this to end.
I trained for years to be able to do what I do. There is no one I can rely on.
There is no such thing as a Batman.
I have to push myself. Batman cannot be just a man. I must be more than that. Much more.
This video contains many spoilers for this 13-year-old game. This game starts by immediately informing you of exactly what kind of experience this is going to be. Where the introduction to these Batman games are often accused of being slow and methodical, taking a while to get to the actual meat of the gameplay, Arkham Origins starts you off completely differently. It's loud and chaotic. We get a short suit-up sequence before literally dropping you into the action. Because of the nature of this game's development, WB weren't allowed to significantly innovate the design of the Arkham formula, settling instead to just do all of the same things that Arkham City did, just with slight improvements. But that didn't stop the team from stamping their own identity on this game. And this introduction is a perfect example of that. I like how all of the other Arkham games start. They all take time to walk you through the state of play and let you analyze the situation before you actually suit up and get involved, kind of like Batman would. And in this sense, Arkham Origins' intro is a perfect reflection of a much younger and angrier version of that same character. Arkham Origins, as the name would imply, is about a young Bruce Wayne who has only been Batman for 2 years, and so he's still explicitly rageful, arrogant, and unnecessarily violent at points. And the game is very eager to show you that as soon as it starts. Where you were once allowed to analyze the game's setup, again, just like Batman would, you are now instead throwing yourself into a situation with very little context, just a singular, unrelenting goal, just like Batman would. The game teaches you how to move, use detective vision, and punch bad guys before immediately throwing you into your first boss fight. Speaking of punching bad guys, combat here is interesting. As much as I love, and I mean love this game, they unfortunately were not allowed to mess around with the combat that much, which I honestly think might be a good thing, because the changes they did make are not the worst thing that's ever been created, but more like a series of minor annoyances. Sometimes when I go to do a combo takedown on someone who is very clearly in range, Batman just goes boo, as opposed to non-lethally collapsing their trachea like I told him to. This is not a problem in any of the other games, including the 2 ones that they made before this one. But apart from this combat system being slightly glitchier than Asylum's, they also decided to completely cook the balancing.
Maybe electrocutioner's shock gloves could restore power to this platform.
I will concede that you do get the shock gloves towards the end of the game, but once you do, they just become the most annoying thing about combat. Once equipped, there is a huge pop-up that shows up every time you've punched enough people in combat, so you have to use them, and when you do...
Sorry, I forgot to hit the win button.
Overall, the game's combat is very good. I'll always have fun timing my combos and counters, and accidentally misclicking and using features that I consistently forget exist. But I can say that same thing about every other Batman game. This one just happens to be the most broken. That's not to say it's bad, just that it's the worst combat system out of 4 stellar combat systems. This game's first boss fight is nothing too special, but is, yet again, a great introduction to how this game will be upping the spectacle and presentation of its boss fights. Killer Croc is essentially a big brute who, after some definitely legal interrogation methods...
You want teeth? I want answers!
spills the beans on what exactly Black Mask is planning. Using both this information and data pulled from one of Penguin's drones, Batman reads us the blurb on the back of the Arkham Origins novelization. Basically, there are assassins trying to kill us, we need to hunt them down before they hunt us, and we need to stop Black Mask. It's a very solid way to cap off the intro to this entire game. It gives the player a clear goal and excites us as to all the cool villains that we'll be seeing. And top of our to-do list is the Penguin. No, I didn't mean it like that. But before we can see the only British man to be born and raised in an American city and still maintain that them's the apples and pears,
I ain't done nothing you not done!
we are interrupted by the Riddler, who for one game only changed his name to Edward Nashton. Bet you thought I was gonna say Enigma, didn't you? Well, Enigma me this, Batman. What's the worst questline in the entire game? There is a reason they called this guy Enigma and not the Riddler, and that's because the Riddler is actually a fun character. Okay, before I rip into this, let me quickly list the one thing that I liked about Edward Enigma Nashton in Batman Arkham Origins. I really like the idea that he started out as more of a narcissistic anti-hero who in early Batman, through preventable mistakes, drives to being an outright supervillain intent on proving his superior intellect. I think that a well-written story with that premise could have a lot of nuance and quality character drama. This, however, is not well written. Enigma speaks to you in less than 10 separate instances, and while they are all very good, it's just him going, hee hee hee, Batman, I'm so clever and smart, and you can't stop me.
It'll be chaos in the streets, Batman, and there's not a thing you can do to stop me.
He does get progressively more annoyed as you take down his radio towers, a concept that is done better, in my opinion, in every other Arkham game. And then there's the puzzles. By the holy spirit of Amadeus Arkham, these things are boring and they take forever. I promise I like this game, by the way, just bear with me. Sometimes the puzzles are boring because they're too simple. Sometimes they're boring because they don't exist. There are no actual riddles in Origins, which means there are no cool Easter eggs for Batman fans to do the Leonardo DiCaprio gif at. Sometimes you complete all of the puzzles in one of the completely barren post-game dungeons, which is weird considering that this one is a police station, and realize that in the main story you would have been ejected from it around about here, and so need to run for 5 straight minutes just to get back outside. And once you've done all of the radio towers, interrogations, network relays, and data packs, and can finally confront the man who's been giving you so much grief, you end up not being able to do that because Enigma simply does some foreshadowing and runs away.
Looks like he's no longer an imminent threat. I can close this case. For now, at least.
Excuse me, Mr. Batman. Waiting for the guy capable of stealing a bunch of confidential information from a bunch of government databases to surface again after finding his base with a bunch of death trap plans in it is really bloody stupid. I feel bad for the probably 2 people that they assigned to just place data packs around the map. This was probably their job for a couple months, which must have been really depressing. So in our search for the Penguin, we make our way to the final offer, where we are confronted by the toughest boss fight in the entire game, interrogate Penguin, and then meet my main man, Deathstroke.
It appears The game is over before it even begins.
The Deathstroke boss fight is an exemplary instance of this game having some dumb fun boss fights. Arkham Origins isn't exactly on Dark Souls levels of bosses, but still stands far above the rest of the series in terms of just how fun they can make these things, in my opinion at least. Someone at WB Montreal, I think, just threw out the manual on how to make a mechanically deep boss encounter, and instead just said, hey, what if he just grapples onto the boss and flies around on his back? Or what if the boss grapples onto him and then uses that to throw a propane tank at him? Because of the nature of a lot of these just insane, wacko ideas for fights, most of them, not all of them, just end up being really cool-looking spam sessions or fancy QuickTime events. My favorite bosses, however, are the ones that are basically combat encounters with bits stuck on, like the first Bane boss fight, and the Deathstroke boss fight. Not the Shiva boss fight, though. That one can burn in hell for the sin of being mind-numbingly boring. The Deathstroke boss fight is a test of your ability to time attacks in combat. You have to punch and counter at the right time, lest you be accosted by a rogue exploding canister. It looks like a scene from a movie, and it is relatively mechanically deep. A perfect marriage of spectacle and skill. You also get a new gadget from the endeavor. The remote backclaw, which is WB's way of having the line launcher in their game, even though it canonically doesn't exist yet, which is good attention to detail. But when it comes to gadgets, WB's philosophy on what can and can't be in the game is, how do I put this nicely, wildly inconsistent. So for something like the line launcher, they clearly put a lot of effort into giving you a slightly more clunky version of the same gadget, so that you can do what you did in the last game. But then for something like, I don't know, the grapnel accelerator, I guess they just forgot that shouldn't be in the game. I will cut them some slack here though, because that actually is concept art of clunkier looking versions of the gadget wheel gadgets than we ended up getting in the final game. But they were probably cut for time. It's just funny to me that there is a planned and thought out explanation for the line launcher, a gadget which is never explicitly stated to be new at any point in the previous 2 games, but they changed one word when renaming the grapnel boost, which is a prototype in Arkham City, and we're like, look, it's completely different now. I'm just assuming that Batman forgot that he had the grapnel accelerator for 11 years after beating the snot out of Slade.
What are you?
Deathstroke? More like death bad. We can now make our way over to Lacey Towers based on the information we got from the waddling Winterer, but are interrupted again by a filthy, filthy communist.
I am Anarchy, voice of the people, here to save you from the plague of corruption that now infests this once proud city.
This guy sounds kind of based.
Alfred, we've got a problem.
So I saw. This Anarchy fellow mentioned 3 bombs.
Yeah, he's sounding a little less based now.
Anarchy's missions consist of us disarming his bombs while he preaches his philosophies, which is interesting mostly because, if you know anything about the character of Batman, it would seem that their ideals seem to match up pretty well. Except for the part where Anarchy tried to do a bunch of mass monetization-friendly game ending.
I wanted to make a difference. I thought you'd feel the same.
I do, but not like this.
It's just some good character work, and a mildly entertaining diversion from the main story. It was while disarming Anarchy's bombs that I got my first pop-up case file. These are small little mini-cases that are exclusives to this Batman game, where you can solve a neat little mystery in a few minutes and then continue on your way. They're not exactly deep, with mechanics boiling down to simply holding down the A button and listening to Roger Craig Smith's smooth, bewitching, illustrious voice.
Continuing your studies? Looking for your bat friend? The Philippines are home to some of the largest bats in the world.
Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Some of these mini-stories are actually quite good, like the last one. The last case file you do serves as a small, low-stakes finale to all of the crimes you've solved so far, and all because Batman finally has to go back to the place where it all started, and solves a case in Crime Alley. I bet you didn't notice the Batcomputer glitches out to show Bruce his very dead parents. Why did Bro program it to do that?
What do you think you're doing? Do you know who I am?
I know exactly who you are. You didn't do it for money. You didn't even do it for love.
You're choking me. I can't breathe.
Not out of jealousy.
not out of anger. You did it because you're a small, selfish, malicious...
Sir, is everything all right? Your vital signs are rather erratic.
What the hell's wrong with you?
God damn, this is so good. Even in its small moments, Arkham Origins still goes to great lengths to show you just how angry and almost broken a younger Batman actually is. And holy hecking hell am I here for it. After solving the crime at Lacey Towers, in which Black Mask and his girlfriend appear to have ceased living, we discover that woman victim was texting Black Mask about a mysterious man before she took an impromptu nap. A man named the Joker. You know, this would be cool, or remotely surprising, if he wasn't in so very much of this game's marketing material, but for now we don't know who that is, and so must head to the Batcave to get the best gadget in the entire game.
Use concussion detonator. It doesn't know that the concussion detonator is useless.
There is a reason that I don't have any footage of me using this gadget. That is because I never did. On an unrelated note, I have decided to redefine the definition of police brutality.
Wait. Why do you do what you do?
Barbara Gordon in Arkham Origins could be said to represent the people of Gotham, seeing the emergence of Batman as one of the only selfless people in a sea of people that are either out for themselves or just not capable of affecting real change. Her character brings to mind this moment in Batman Year 1, in which Batman has just thrown the GCPD's head of SWAT through a wall in front of a large crowd, and instead of being repulsed by this act of violence against a law enforcement officer, the crowd cheers. Lieutenant Gordon watches on and says,
You've made a hero out of him.
Gotham is not a place where the police are your friends. In audio logs from this very game, Captain Gordon tells Barbara to watch her back and frantically tries to give her a police radio so that she can listen in, which is illegal, by the way. Barbara Gordon, one of the only civilians in this entire game, trusts the Batman over her own father when it comes to making a real difference. Arkham Origins, I think, works well as a real study of how Batman is seen by people. We start the game off with people being terrified of us, being told that we simply shouldn't exist. But Barbara's entrance into the story signifies a turning point, in which Batman embodies not only the idea of vengeance upon those who have wronged others, but a knight who has come to the rescue of the people. He's not a bright figure like Superman, but in a place as dark as Gotham City, people will take what they can get.
You're bypassing the network security. But you'll need to physically bridge the intranet to the external telecom wires if you want to uplink remotely.
This kind of knowledge could get a young girl into a lot of trouble.
They run under the building.
What does?
The telecom wires. You can access them through the sewers.
Thanks, I'm gonna go beat up your dad now.
Now that we've got that intel from Barbara, we can do the most filler dungeon in the entire game to get a really cool cutscene that states the Black Mask isn't actually dead and that we should be heading to the bank. Whoa, guys. A Batman story in which the villain tries to rob a bank? Let's not go too crazy now. Then Mad Hatter just shows up. He's just here now.
Yeah, he's over there.
I don't know if anybody's noticed yet, but as the name Arkham Origins would imply, Bruce Man is meeting most, if not all, of these villains for the very first time in this game. So, Batman meets Mad Hatter, Anarchy, Enigma Nashton, the Penguin, Shiva, Electrocutioner, Killer Croc, Firefly, Copperhead, Deadshot, Deathstroke, Bane, Black Mask, and the Jonkler all in the same night. And I thought Arkham Knight had some ridiculous time-scaling issues, so we defeat Mad Hatter in a hurry so that we can get to what is, in my opinion, the most interesting part of this game. I was waxing poetic about how this game portrays Batman like 30 seconds ago, and now we have his equal and opposite. The interesting thing about the Joker in this game is that he actually doesn't care about us.
Oh, life would be so simple if you were all I wanted. No, you're just a teeny little distraction compared to what I've got up my sleeve.
The Joker appears to be, as we say in Britain, on a bit of a bender. It's never said explicitly, but one assumes that he has quite recently come into possession of a chemical bath and bleached skin, and in his ensuing insanity has decided to find out how much chaos he can cause before someone finally puts him out of his misery. So with a wink and a laugh, he throws a woman at us to save, only for her to die anyway a few seconds later. That mischievous little scamp.
Where's the Joker going?
He said something about the steel mill.
That's Sionis's mill.
It's Joker's mill now. Ain't no way you're getting in there.
I didn't ask for your opinion. I didn't ask for your opinion.
You'd never guess it, but before we get to the steel mill, we are interrupted again. This time, it is by a crying baby.
Where's the baby?
That's just a consolation prize, in case you fail the test.
Cool, but like, where's the baby?
Somewhere in New Gotham, an innocent man is about to die. And we both know you won't allow that. So the question is, can you find him, Batman? Can you save him?
Cool, but like, where's the baby?
Where is it?
This side mission is fine. It just commits the cardinal sin of being a bit of a nothing burger. The most memorable part about it is that I cannot play it without some of the dialogue glitching out a little bit.
Because you wouldn't.
I actually interrupted the Shiva side mission to instead do something more interesting. It's shocking to me how many people don't know about the Cyrus Pinkney side mission in Arkham Origins. So there are these plaques around the map, right? And when you scan them, you get these journal entries from a guy named Cyrus Pinkney, who is the guy from Arkham City that Penguin's Lair is named after.
Welcome to the Cyrus Pinkney Natural History Institute.
It's interesting that WB thought they needed to explain why Gotham looks the way it does, but I love stories about Gotham's history, so I'm just glad it does exist. I love this side mission for the same reason that I love A Serious House on Serious Earth, and those Spirit of Arkham audio logs from Asylum. And there are even elements of this in Earth 1. Gotham's history is interesting, dude. Cyrus Pinkney's story is one of him building Gotham as its chief architect. He's the reason it looks so spooky and why there are so many big, hunky men everywhere. Cyrus and his friend, Solomon Wayne, get into trouble with one Henry Cobblepot. Henry is helping to bankroll Gotham's infrastructure, but keeps asking for somewhat dubious favors from Cyrus, asking him to design him a munitions factory and such. When Cyrus refuses, he is killed on the eve of his 40th birthday, poisoned by Henry. After reaching Cyrus Pinkney's crypt, we discover that he wasn't actually poisoned that night. After designing a state-of-the-art mental facility at the behest of a new friend named Amadeus Arkham, Cyrus would ask Amadeus to give him a specially made drug that would make him only appear to be dead. Cyrus, now thought to have unfortunately passed away, kills Henry in a hit and run covered up as a simple accident and gets away scot-free. Who is scot-free? Proving once again that WB knows how to tell a bloody story. This is so good. It might not have come through with my simple synopsis as well as it might in-game, but there's so much mystery and intrigue as you find these journals littered around the map. Not having them be marked points of interest can lead to some players completely missing them, and the players that do will definitely just find one and then look up a guide for the rest. But even still, not having them marked really creates this sense that you're looking into something that you probably weren't even supposed to find. Hey, speaking of finding things, where's the love interest of this story go to? We discover the Black Mask has a heart disability, gets scared by creepy noises, and maybe possibly do ableism?
I can control your pacemaker remotely. You want to see what 250 beats per minute feels like?
Batman will not kill you, but he will threaten to kill you without a second thought. This guy's name is Roman Sionis for any normie viewers out there, by the way. I need to clarify that because he's not wearing the Black Mask anymore, so I can't call him Black Mask, and I didn't want to just be calling him White Man for the rest of the duration of this video. So before Roman can call our bluff on the definitely causing him to have a heart attack thing, Copperhead shows up to initiate the definitely not a Scarecrow sequence. Actually, come to think of it, why wasn't Scarecrow in this game? He does just kind of come out of nowhere in Arkham Knight as the main villain, and they could have used Origins to give Batman and Scarecrow's relationship a little extra depth before that game. Just in like a side mission or something. Seems like a missed opportunity to me.
Alfred, uploading analysis of a neurotoxin. I need you to synthesize an antidote.
Master Bruce, what have I told you about doing drugs?
Not now, Alfred.
The Copperhead boss fight is uniquely classified in my eyes as the most annoying piece of garbage in this game. You do get these really cool moments of characters that you failed to save throughout the game coming back to haunt you, Alfred not believing in you, all hallucinations that indicate that maybe Bruce is letting these losses and Alfred's words get to him a little bit more than he would like to admit. But these Copperhead clones can burn in hell. Sometimes they have counter windows that are way too small, sometimes they track to you when it looks like they shouldn't, like a sticky bloody popsicle, and when you get to the last one, sometimes you need to spend like a minute running around to trigger the next phase of the fight. And I don't like her face either. It's disconcerting. I swear to God, when the cure came down from what I can only assume to be heaven, I let out a real sigh of relief.
Have you ever had a dream that
Maybe you should try getting a job.
Now, having gotten some info from Copperhead that all of the assassins will be in the same place soon, we decide to track the electrocutioner's gloves to the Joker's location. But before we can do that, we have to put some sticky stuff on some containers. I feel like I'm turning into a broken record, but the Black Mask side mission suffers from nothing happening during the quest. All you do is blow up some canisters and beat up this completely normal guy. The only thing that was memorable about this quest was this cryptographic sequencer puzzle having a particularly pointed answer. But finally, we can make our way to, in my opinion, the best dungeon in the entire game. The Gotham Royal Hotel is a test of your skills that you've been learning throughout the game. Arkham Origins is often cited as the most difficult of the bunch, and that can be seen most prevalently in this dungeon. You'll be tested on your stealth, your combat, although from this point that's made trivially easy by stealing this guy's equipment off his now very dead body. You'll also be tested on puzzle solving ability, and even the game's parkour system, which is surprisingly robust. Small one-sentence tangent, the Arkham games typically have quite fun parkour systems that obviously don't hold a candle to the mammoths of parkour like Mirror's Edge or Assassin's Creed, but is still very fun to use, and I wanted to mention it here because people can forget that real people worked on these games, and designing this parkour system was probably someone's actual job for like 6 months. As for all of the other aspects of gameplay that I just mentioned, stealth is tested by weighing your ability to perform a variety of attacks against your reliance on some of the game's core systems, which is a very complicated game designy way of saying that this room blows up the gargoyles. Your puzzle solving ability is tested when you encounter what I think is a huge dinner hall that is rigged up with games for us to play, in order to save these hostages, and on top of being a solid test of our problem-solving abilities consistent with this game's systems, it also does a brilliant job of illustrating to us, the player, and also Batman, the character, how psychopathic the Joker really is.
Sir, I've just seen the explosion at the Gotham Royal on the news. The hotel guests, are they safe?
Not now, Alfred.
Sir, are you all right? Your voice...
I'm fine, Alfred. I've dealt with psychopaths before, but this...
Sir, I strongly suggest you call in Captain Gordon. He could be a valuable ally for you.
I don't need any allies.
Hey guys, I wonder if Batman actually does need allies. You do have to remember that this is still a very early Batman who isn't used to this sort of madness. Up to this point, he's been dealing with mob bosses and power-hungry politicians. Not the funny green-haired man who thought it would be funny to, and consider this a warning to anyone who might be sensitive to matters of the gruesome and morbid, kidnap a school bus full of kids, kill them, and disassemble their bodies and reassemble them into a messed up piece of art so that he could show it to another child. Anyone who tells you that Batman is for kids needs to read a book. Once you reach the Joker at the top of the hotel, you are greeted by Bane, a guy whose name perfectly illustrates his character. This is easily the best Bane in the series. Unfortunately, this game needs to do a solid job of explaining why he's basically the Hulk in the other Arkham games, so WB made sure to give him plenty of attention in this game to properly show off a seriously accurate interpretation of his character. For those who aren't in the know, Bane in the comics grew up in a prison where he would cultivate his leadership skills, strength, and tactical ability, but he always felt that he still had the capacity for fear, which he represented with a bat. When he hears of Batman's existence, he enters himself into an experimental program that will give him near unlimited strength, a program that he survives through sheer willpower, so that he can finally slay the manifestation of all of his fears, which he thinks will free him of them forever. Once he completes the Venom program, he breaks out of prison and heads to Gotham, and what follows is one of the most famous Batman comics of all time. This backstory is referenced in Arkham Origins quite a few times, so it can be inferred that some version of the events of the Bane comics happened in this universe. Bane references finding peace once Batman is dead.
With your death, I will find peace.
The game makes several references to Penaduro, the prison in which Bane is kept throughout his childhood, and Bird from the original comic is even here in his own side mission. The fact that the developers paid so much attention to Bane's characterization and backstory shows a real respect for the original character, which I am very glad to see. After Bane leaves, I think we get my favorite cutscene from this game. I'll just let it play out, and then I'll come back and squee about how good it is.
You have 1 minute.
Do they even have manners where he comes from? You see, it's a tradition in my house to open one present each on Christmas Eve. How about this one?
How many lives did you just take?
None! I think that was just a little stocking stuffer. A construction site blocking my view. But this one isn't.
I've long waited for this moment. With your death, I will find peace.
Look at this. Just look at it. It's so good! If the first time Batman and Joker were in a room together, they met, this is when they got to know each other. The moment that Joker blows up a building, Batman knows that he means business. And that he isn't like any of the other criminals that he's fought so far. And that this is escalating way beyond anything that he was ever expecting to have to deal with. And as soon as Batman realizes just how depraved this guy is, he legitimately gets so mad that he breaks the TV screens behind him, presumably with his bat mind powers, and lets the Joker know what's up. You can actually see the colors in the scene switch from Joker's purples and greens to Batman's cold blues to signify who exactly is dominating in this moment. The Joker at this point still isn't really in love with Batman, with all of the traps that have been set up so far being ones that weren't really meant for us, we just happened to stumble into them. And so the Joker smiles as we punch the absolute snot out of him, because he's still on his suicide bender. And as soon as Bane forces his way back into frame, it informs the player just how drastically out of our depth we are. And I've already covered why I love Bane here. He's so accurate to the source material and such a good foil for Batman. Not to mention that what follows from this cutscene is my personal favorite boss fight in Arkham Origins. It goes so hard.
I won't stand by and watch you kill yourself. I'm calling Captain Gordon.
Funny Alfred should say that, because I've been playing these games since I was 10, and so I did this boss fight without getting hit one single time. This makes my version of Batman completely justified being mad at Alfred for calling the police even though he isn't supposed to be. All because when the police do finally arrive, Bane leaves when we could have very easily taken him down there and then.
Just where do you think you're going? Ah!
Why would you do that? Newsflash! I'm the one who's trying to kill you! Those were two very, very bad men. Ooh, the things they've done. You really don't want to know. They deserved death. Just like me.
Freeze!
Don't move, freak!
I think he's talking to you.
Take him down! Now!
Let me guess. He got away. Take him to Blackgate.
Where'd he go? Huh? The Bat. Your partner.
My partner?
Who else would jump off a building to save your sorry ass?
You know, officer. I was wondering the same thing myself.
Aww. He's in love. Sorry for letting two entire cutscenes play out in quick succession, but I genuinely feel obliged to let you experience the sheer unbridled quality of this game's story. So from a character perspective, what's happened here is that Batman, in line with his no-kill rule, has saved the person that he was so angry at earlier that it broke some nearby electrical equipment. In response, the Joker has inadvertently become fascinated with this man, who is so unlike anything he's ever seen, his interest is turning into an obsession. Joker doesn't know why Batman saved him yet. It could be because he has a no-kill rule, that's one possibility. Or maybe Batman just saved Joker specifically, for some reason. In any case, in the Joker's mind, what Batman just did signifies his insanity. Finally, Joker has found a kindred spirit, but there's still one problem. The fact that Batman is acting as a hero to the people means that, to the Joker, Batman hasn't fully accepted his madness yet. In the next scene, we get the Joker waxing lyrical about Batman, talking about how it must be fate that they met, and how alike they are, cleverly disguising every word as flirtatious behavior to manipulate one Dr. Quinzel.
My name's Harleen. Harleen Quinzel.
What a pretty name. Do your friends call you Harley?
We also get Batman coming to terms with what he's just seen, imagining the Joker killing his parents. I've always interpreted this to mean that Bruce thinks he's actually finally encountered a person so twisted that they embody everything that he is fighting against.
The Joker. He's the shadow I've been chasing.
Both Batman and the Joker are products of their environment, both faced with a philosophical absurdity and both having two polar opposite reactions to it. Batman chooses to shield others from the conclusions that he has come to. After seeing his parents murdered, he knows that life is pointless, that good things don't always happen to good people, and sometimes people just die, for no reason and with no warning. And so he chooses to be a balance. He chooses to embody a force of nature which protects the weak and is feared by powerful people that would otherwise abuse their power. The Joker also knows of those same absurdities that Bruce does, and instead of finding purpose in it through helping to keep others from what he suffered, he inflicts suffering and finds it hilarious because of how pointless it all is. A simplistic view of the dynamic between Batman and his arch-nemesis is that they are two sides of the same coin, which while being accurate, isn't nearly pretentious sounding enough for me. A much better way of putting it is that they have both been presented with the same information about the reality of what it means to live a life, and both come to the same conclusion, that life is pointless and intrinsic meaning does not exist. What they have chosen to do with these conclusions, however, is where they become polar opposites of each other, with Batman wanting to stop others from finding out how meaningless life is, and the Joker wanting to show as many people the truth as possible. And it's a genuine testament to the quality of this game that I can write 557 words on how two comic book characters operate based on like 3 cutscenes featuring them. Once arriving back at the Batcave and having an actual mental breakdown, we get everyone else's favorite cutscene, which, yes, I will be playing in full for analysis purposes.
Master Bruce, stop! Master Bruce! Bruce, I will not in good conscience allow you to go. You're outmatched by these assassins.
What?
You're not some hardened vigilante. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger. You're in over your head, and I don't want this to be your end.
Alfred, who do you see when you look at me? The boy whose shoes you used to tie every morning? The teenager you drove to his first date? While you are here every night, I am out there. The only thing between the innocent and the predatory. No, not may be. I am. When the mugger or the thief stops to think twice, that is fear. That is what I am. That is why they hired assassins, because I am the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises. So no, Alfred, I am not in over my head. Tonight will not be my end, but it will be theirs.
The phrase, "not now, Alfred," is used so much in this game that it's become a decently obscure meme. But throughout the story, it's always Bruce's way of telling Alfred to stow it whenever he has a concern for his safety or well-being. Because Origins takes place so early in the Batman timeline, Bruce is yet to prove himself to anyone as an adequate fighting force against the insanely wealthy and powerful of Gotham. I mean, how would you feel if your surrogate son came home from a 12-year trip one day and was like, "Father, we are going to send Jeff Bezos to jail"? I know I'd probably be a bit concerned, especially if he then started dressing up as like a giant peregrine or something. My point is that Alfred's outrage here is completely justified. Bruce is putting himself in unnecessary danger and refusing the help of those around him. And Alfred is proven right that Bruce is outmatched by the assassins the very next time he does anything in relation to Bane. On the flip side, Bruce is also somewhat right here. Alfred does have a lack of faith in Bruce. Batman has become the symbol of fear that he was supposed to be, and has the skills to back it up. But unfortunately, Alfred just can't see how that nervous kid, in tears in the back of his car the night his parents were murdered, has become the embodiment of fear and justice that is now trusted by the people of his city more than the actual police. And so Bruce is forced to storm off to continue his investigation, with or without Alfred's help. Although it's obviously going to be with, because otherwise Batman wouldn't have anyone to dispel exposition to for the audience's benefit.
Alfred, Bane knows who I am. You're not safe at Wayne Manor.
Oh no! So Batman does make a quick pit stop at the GCPD, and I do a couple of straggling side missions before tracking Bane to his headquarters, where we find out a couple of important pieces of information. Number 1, Bane is looking into trying to counter the negative effects that Venom can have on the brain's memory center, but hasn't found anything yet. Number 2, Bane is also working on a new upgraded compound called Titan 1, TN1 for short, that will enhance his musculature to even greater heights and doesn't require the use of a storage tank like Venom does. And, oh yeah, Bane recognized our voice as the overly grumpy Bruce Wayne, Gotham's most famous and rich recluse, who is obviously Batman. This point has been criticized for being a bit too contrived, but I actually quite like it as an explanation for why Bruce ever starts masking his voice in public. As we go to retrieve Alfred from Bane's oversized hands, we get a message over the comms that Firefly has taken hostages on that bridge that the developers couldn't be bothered to get rid of, and so had to put fast travel into the game. So naturally, we leave Alfred to fend for himself against Bane, because we have faith in our friend and I'm sure he can handle himself.
Oh god, Alfred, no!
Once we have arrived at the bridge, we once again encounter Captain Gordon, who is heading up the operation to get the hostages to safety. For some reason, he doesn't want what he thinks is a random unhinged civilian to handle this very sensitive hostage situation. It's funny to me that people think that Gordon is in the wrong here, even though he is just doing his job. If Batman, a guy that Gordon knows nothing about, screws up, makes himself known, or steps a single toe out of line, the bridge straight up explodes. I can very much see why Gordon would want the police to maybe handle this one. But despite Gordon's protest, we start defusing bombs. There are 4, and we defuse 2 before Gordon inadvertently blocks our path to the 3rd bomb, forcing us to go to the other end of the bridge, defuse that one, and come back while Alfred hacks the fire door.
Alfred, there's a fire door blocking my progress. I need codes to get past it.
The police should have access to those codes. Perhaps Captain Gordon...
Gordon won't cooperate. I'm heading to get the other bomb. Get those codes to me by the time I'm done.
Right. I'll do my best.
This is the first time Alfred is wrong in the entire game. It is interesting, though, how Bruce at least tried to ask Gordon for help. It's actually fairly realistic of an approach to Batman's arc in this game. I've seen friends in the past who don't like asking for help when they need help with something, just ask to try it out, just to prove it won't work, or because they're just testing the waters to see what's up with this whole, having friends thing. After defusing the bomb, we hear Gordon give the breach order, which he's a complete dick about.
Gordon, I've defused 3 of the 4 bombs. As soon as I defuse the final bomb.
We're breaching now. You're too late.
Without the clairvoyance of knowing the future, this is really dumb because it means that Captain Gordon is still risking the bridge suddenly exploding. With the clairvoyance of knowing the future, though, I can tell you that it is actually the bomb squad, and Gordon is actually trying to defuse the final bomb himself. This isn't stupid. It just makes him look like a massive man-baby when Batman calls him and he basically goes,
"Ha ha ha, we beat you to it."
I love these two being assholes to each other before they actually become friends. It's such a refreshing take on what we usually get of Gordon, just being so desperate of an officer that he will just accept the help of this random guy.
And I can't stop thinking about her. Like I can't stop thinking about this Batman.
Gordon, why are you thinking about Batman in the same way that you're thinking about the person that you're cheating on your wife with? In reality, what Gordon has done from a tactical perspective is take a huge gamble on the fact that we can distract Firefly for long enough for his team to defuse the last bomb. So it's nice that they're kind of working together, at least by default. Once we realize that Firefly has no more leverage over us, Batman, who is still in a hurry mind you, decides that he's had enough. This whole boss fight is basically an RT spam. Occasionally, though, the game will make you spam a different button. Dark Souls could learn something from Arkham Origins. What this fight lacks in mechanical depth, however, it makes up for in sheer spectacle. I mean, look at this guy. He's zooming through the air, dodging debris and punching Mr. Fireman. And then he grapples onto him at the end and there's explosions.
You need a new hobby. Maybe you should try getting a job.
Gordon's surprise at Batman's success here. Brilliant. They have a short conversation just after where they discuss how the situation could have been handled better, as to improve their teamwork in the future, even if Gordon's still apprehensive about their partnership. They share this exchange.
Not big on taking orders from wanted men.
I'm not big on taking orders from cops.
The disdain in his voice when talking about the police really solidifies them as basically being the same as the criminals they fight. And Gordon is left with no choice but to agree. As a member of that police force, he knows just how much the department is compromised. I think it's here that they really begin to understand each other.
Alfred. Alfred, I am in your house. Bruce.
Come home. Say your goodbyes. Once you've had time to turn grief into anger, then you'll be ready to face me. I have left enough life in him for some final words. If you hurry. Alfred!
As soon as we get back to the Batcave, we immediately repair detective vision and start looking for Alfred. We find him in the wreckage of a prototype Batmobile that Bruce was working on, and share one final exchange with our old friend.
Alfred, you can't.
Don't add me to the weight you carry.
Despite Alfred's request, Bruce can't help but take responsibility for his death. Up to this point, Bruce has suffered massive losses in his life, but this has been the single worst night of his career so far. He has failed to save too many people at this point, and as seen during Copperhead's hallucinations, he is letting it get to him, even if he's not showing it. I mean, hell, he even had a whole depressive spiral happen to him earlier, before Alfred snapped him out of it, and he got back on track. It's at this point that Bruce begins to think that maybe Alfred was right. Batman might be fear incarnate. He might be a symbol of just vengeance, but he isn't a symbol. He is just Bruce Wayne, the idiot son of a billionaire that thought that learning jujitsu and putting on a scary costume would turn him into something he wasn't. And so Bane has now won. Unlike the original comic, where Bane literally broke Batman's back, here he has broken him emotionally, made him give up his crusade entirely. But even so, as one last testament to this man's indomitable will, his intelligence and determination, he finds a way to hold back death for one last person. One last time.
Come on, damn it!
All units, code 10. Repeat, code 10 confirmed at Blackgate prison. Suspect identified as the Joker.
You're going to be alright.
I know I haven't always been supportive of what you do, but I understand now. Go. They need you out there.
I can't defend Gotham. I can't even defend my own home.
Master Bruce.
Multiple casualties reported. Code 10. Repeat, code 10. Any available unit. Repeat, any available unit. Please respond.
Master Bruce, now is not the time for doubt.
I can't do it. I can't stop them.
No, you can't. Not on your own. But it's high time you realize that you are a man, not an island. And a man's strength comes not from just brawn and intelligence, but also from his allies.
One alert. The Joker has escaped from his cell and is leading the riots at Blackgate. Repeat, the Joker has taken over the entire prison. Multiple casualties, multiple hostages. Again, we have lost Blackgate. Captain Gordon is calling on anyone for assistance.
They need you.
No. They need us.
And just like that, the finale to this whole brilliant, terrifying, wonderful experience begins. Bruce has failed to save many people on this night, but only one was personal, and it almost did mean the end of his crusade. With Alfred dead, Bruce would go on to think Alfred never wanted him to be Batman, that he thought he truly was in over his head, that this would be a pointless death, just like how his parents died pointlessly. But with Alfred still here, he can clear the air and clarify his point. He never wanted Bruce to stop being Batman. He wanted him to ask for help, to make sure that he wasn't pursuing the life of a crime fighter out of anger, but out of a need to help others. In many ways, this can be viewed as the early birth of what would come to be known as the Bat family, the family that Bruce builds after his disappears. It really says something about the writing of this story that, at his lowest, right when he's about to give up, Bruce Wayne, the Batman, the manliest man on the entire planet, simply has to ask for help from his friends and allies to get back on his feet again. What an excellent moral. The writing here, in my opinion, far exceeds the writing in any of the other games. Let me pose you a rather simple question. What is the moral of the story in Arkham Asylum? A simple narrative about taking down the Joker and stopping his plans. What about Arkham City? A game that I will admit gets me in the feels every time I play it. Arkham Knight? What the hecking hell is the moral of Arkham Knight? Of course, not every story needs to have a moral at the end of it. It is simply that, in my opinion, the best stories tend to have the most compelling moral backbones. Hell, you've watched this video for this long. You're probably a friggin' nerd, so I'll rattle off some examples for you. George Lucas has talked many times about how the original Star Wars films are intended to be a critique of America's involvement in the Vietnam War, with the Empire actually being a stand-in for America. The Wachowski sisters made The Matrix to describe this feeling that they had at the time that they couldn't quite put into words, and have gone on to admit that it's become an inadvertent, sci-fied up allegory for the trans experience. The most recent Superman movie, the one that has been universally praised for its uplifting tone and exquisite themes, is an obvious allegory for current geopolitical events. And Batman Arkham Origins is a lesson in how to remain masculine while also accepting the help of those around you. I love Batman Arkham Origins. It's so friggin' good! Now let's wrap this baby up. These guards are being harassed by escaped prisoners. But not to worry, because I am here. We beat up the bad men, and ask the guards to prepare the gates for Captain Gordon's arrival, to which they respond with,
"Yes, sir. We're on it."
Like Batman's their bloody commander-in-chief. We also check on Alfred to make sure he's not, dead again. It's wild that he's still working the computer after dying, but it's Alfred, so you know, he's an absolute unit. These exchanges between all of the characters really make it feel like Batman is implementing the lessons he's learned immediately, and makes it seem like he's actually become properly willing to work in a team now. The next stretch of the game includes throwing basically everything the game has at you one last time. We get some puzzles, some combat, and stealth. And while not being anywhere near as difficult as the Gotham Royal Hotel, probably to make the player really feel like Batman right before the end, there are still some real tests of your combat abilities, of course rendered absolutely trivial by the shock gloves. Once we've dealt with all of this pesky gameplay in my video game, the story starts happening again. Joker has taken Warden Joseph hostage and has rigged up a system in which Batman must kill himself, Bane, or the Joker. The Joker here is clearly trying to test to see what Batman's no-kill rule is all about. It's a very cool idea to have Joker just play out one of these scenarios. This is the kind of thing that you would hear about in a philosophy class, and this twat's just decided to see what would actually happen. We get a repeat of the Bane boss fight from earlier, but with the difficulty turned up slightly thanks to an onslaught of goons. But thanks to my wealth of experience and immense skill, we were able to get through this admittedly quite short section. Once Captain Gordon shows up, our true beloved, Joker takes him hostage too. So now we have to kill Bane. Batman realizes that he could easily kill Bane just by using his electric gloves to stop his heart. Wait, what? So you're telling me that the electric gloves, the crutch of this game's combat in the late game, is liable to stop someone's heart before knocking them out? I mean, I should have guessed, considering that Electrocutioner's name was a play on Executioner. He wasn't called Mr. Electro-Nicinator. But still, we've definitely killed several people up to this point due to the fairly liberal use of these gloves. I can see why Batman stopped using them in the other games.
I will never kill. Not even you.
Not to mention the fact that they make combat trivially easy and screw up combos due to people just going down and then somehow knocking themselves out while they're already on the floor. So I look dumb as hell when I try to do a ground takedown, but I digress. Batman kills Bane. He's just dead now. Once again, having learned his lesson from Alfred's speech, Batman physically asks Gordon for his help locking the prison down.
Gordon, Joseph, I need your help to stop the Joker.
Our help? You're the so-called vigilante. Or is one kill enough for you tonight? Bane's in cardiopulmonary arrest. I have only minutes to resuscitate him before it's too late. You mean you didn't? That's not how I do things. Now go.
During Barbara's side mission, she does actually mention that the police have a file on Batman that states that he does kill people, although it's also theorized that the Peelers were only writing that to cover up for their own dubious dealings. Either way, it makes sense that Gordon would think the Batman was just a crazy murder man. Now that he doesn't, I wonder if he'll revise his opinion of us.
You know, my daughter thinks you're a hero. But I still have to bring you in.
For now, however, we have to revive Bane because he's still got setup that hasn't been paid off. So naturally, he comes back to life, pays off his setup by injecting himself with Big Bane pickle juice, and throws us into another pretty stellar boss fight. I know everyone loves to glaze Mr. Freeze in Arkham City, but to be fair to this Bane fight, I was much more scared here than I have ever been there. Your main objective here isn't actually to fight Bane, but to avoid him. Not that that's easy, considering that he will grab you out of whatever hiding place you choose if you stay in one place for too long. You're forced to perform stealth takedowns and hopefully run him into one of these electric gates so it can shock him. Eventually detective vision will go out, and after a certain amount of time, he will just one-shot you.
Sir, Bane has taken an injection of TN1. You have 10 minutes before it reaches its full potency. After that, he gets a hold of you.
Obviously, because I'm so good at this game, I beat Bane with literally no issues. This definitely isn't the first ever time I've done that.
It's over, Alfred. I've defeated Bane.
Oh, you sneaky little minx.
Bane's memory is now affected by the huge amount of drugs in his system, making him forget that Bruce Wayne is Batman and explaining why in all of the other games set after this, he's really, really stupid. And with the final boss fight over, we just need to talk about the finale. The climax of this game sees Warden Joseph sniped, Batman and Gordon having to defend him before help arrives, and the final showdown of Batman and the Joker. I am so glad they didn't try to do a Joker boss fight, because at the end of the day, this is just a regular guy when it comes to combat ability. This whole scene is just the Joker getting absolutely pummeled while trying to get across exquisitely written dialogue. Not that I listened to any of it.
Oh,
This scene is also notable for being that one time the Batman definitely broke the Joker's neck.
Any one of my guys would have killed him.
Maybe you should check his body, bro. I'm pretty sure I did exactly that.
I think it's fitting given that this game is clearly inspired by Batman Year One, a story that is more about, at the time, Lieutenant Gordon than it is about the main man himself, that Arkham Origins should end with a monologue from Captain Gordon. At the beginning of this night, Gordon simply didn't believe the Batman existed, but it's a real testament to how far we've come that not only have we proven our existence to him, but also proven ourselves to him. Batman, in a meta sense, acts as a fantastical hypothetical. What if a rich person cared? There are many stories that try to answer the question of why someone like Bruce Wayne, someone with so much means, would ever do what he does. Some say it's because he wants to avenge his parents, or stop anyone else from going through what he did, and some just imply that he's outright insane. But the point of this final scene was never to try to understand why Batman is who he is. Gordon at this point has given up trying to understand this strange man who thinks he's the mascot for a bat-based fast food restaurant, and instead talks about the city. Jim Gordon no longer cares about why Batman is, because we have proven that the only thing that matters is what he does. And that's give people hope, both as the guardian of Gotham City, and as the main character of a comic book series that's been running for nearly a century.
You know, my daughter thinks you're a hero. But I still have to bring you in.
Gordon, come in. What's your 20?
I'm in the chapel. We got the Joker.
Son of a bitch. You caught him. And how did you do that?
I had some help. I keep asking myself why I didn't bring him in. And I now know the truth is I let him go. Because of you. Because you believe in him. I don't know. They put me in charge of a station full of rotten cops. And I can't change them. Any more than I can change this damn city. Or at least, that's what I used to think.
out his heart. That is funny. Good one, Bats! This is going to be fun.
Maybe I can give them something to believe in. Maybe he can give them something to believe in.
Once they're more afraid of me than they are of people like Cobblepot and Sionis, they'll straighten themselves out, or I'll do it for them. There's something wrong with Roman Sionis.
We're starting with a clean slate, and you're not on it.
He's reckless, chaotic. It's not like him.
Newsflash! I'm the one who's trying to kill you!
The Joker. He's the shadow I've been chasing.
Do you find the peace in death that you did not find in life?
I'm not looking for peace.
When the mugger or the thief stops to think twice, that is fear. That is what I am. That is why they hired assassins, because I am the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises.
What are you?
Wait. Why do you do what you do?
Because I made a promise.
Hello, it's me. I know I've been gone for a while. At this point it is fair to say that I always am, but these videos do take a while to make on my own, so I do apologize for that. I did also want to take a break after working on the last video, both because it was an extremely negative one that was incredibly taxing to make, and because it got like 4 views. But on that note, I would like to start leaning into more gaming retrospective style videos, so let me know if you liked this one, and if there's anything I could improve on. I know I was probably a bit too indulgent with the editing. I'd also have a couple of my traditional informational video essays in the works, but I enjoyed working on this video so much, I just wouldn't mind doing more is all. Make sure to like the video if you're so inclined, and subscribe for more like this. I've also started a soundtrack channel for running copyright checks on game soundtracks that I might want to use in future videos, so if you want to know what I'm covering next, or just like listening to cool blended music, then go check it out. I hope you have enjoyed killing time with my content, and I thank you for doing so. Have a nice day.